This is 3 News Now, your daily update on everything Northeast Ohio with Stephanie Haney.
Hello there, everyone. Welcome back to 3 News Now on this Tuesday, August 2nd. I'm Stephanie Haney here with your top stories from WKYC.com and our WKYC app. Thank you for joining me here for the stories that matter most to you. These are the stories that you are clicking on, reading, and sharing from our website and from our app. And we start with a plea from the Cleveland police. They are asking for your help. They're asking for help identifying a man who was caught on camera at the murder scene for a teenager in the Cleveland area. So they are looking for someone who can give some information related to the murder of 16-year-old Arthur McKellar. Arthur was shot and killed just before 4:30 p.m. on July 27th. He was found with gunshot wounds on Clark Avenue and was taken to Metro Health. While at Metro Health, he was pronounced dead. So investigators say that Arthur and a friend were sitting at a home on Scranton Road when a person they didn't know started shooting at them. 2 people ran from the scene, presumably the person that they did not know and the person who was with Arthur, and then Arthur collapsed on Clark Avenue. So police have not identified a suspect, but they are looking to find a man who we have pictured on WKYC.com because investigators believe that he may have witnessed the shooting. So police are asking anyone with information on the shooting to contact investigators. The phone number to do that is 216-623-5464. Again, that's 216-623-5464. Tips can be made anonymously to Crime Stoppers of Cuyahoga County by calling 216-252-7463. Again, that's 216-252-7463. There may be a cash reward of up to $5,000 available. Now we have an update on the status of employment for Euclid Police Officer Michael Amiott. He has not been fired after having been found guilty of 2 criminal charges earlier. He's been assigned instead to administrative duties following that conviction. His responsibilities have been drastically reduced while he has not been fired. Euclid Captain Mitch Hauser confirmed to 3 News yesterday that he had been assigned to non-enforcement administrative duties, and that's until further notice. This is after the verdict came down late on Friday. A jury found him guilty of both assault and violating a person's civil rights. This was in connection with the violent 2017 traffic stop. So during this traffic stop in 2017, Amiott pulled over Richard Hubbard after the car driving was listed as being unregistered. And Amiott eventually asked Hubbard to get out of the vehicle. Well, Hubbard complied, but there was then an altercation after that, and Amiott was caught on video punching Hubbard multiple times. Now, Amiott and other witnesses testified that he had just cause to use force against Hubbard, but there were guilty verdicts on 1 assault charge and a violation of civil rights charge. There was a not guilty verdict on a 2nd assault charge, but overall, it did show that the jurors felt his actions, his use of force, was excessive. The city of Euclid had also reached a $450,000 settlement with Hubbard and an acquaintance in April of 2021. So in the aftermath of that assault, Amiott served a 45-day suspension before being fired by Mayor Kirsten Holzheimer Gale, but his employment was actually later reinstated by an independent arbitrator. The criminal trial had been put on hold because of COVID-19 pandemic-related delays. So a sentencing date for Amiott has not yet been set. He does face up to 360 days in jail and a $2,000 fine. Now, as we continue to pay attention to what's happening with the suspension that has been issued against Cleveland Browns quarterback Deshaun Watson, who independent arbiter Sue Robinson found did commit multiple instances of sexual assault. We're now hearing a report from ESPN's Jeff Darlington that if the NFL does appeal that ruling, that Watson and the NFL Players Association will sue the NFL, trying to prove that Roger Goodell, the commissioner of the NFL, does not have the authority to basically overrule that ruling from Sue Robinson. So here is the quote from ESPN's Jeff Darlington. I'm told if the NFL does appeal this, that Deshaun Watson's side will be filing suit against them to question the authority of Goodell to do so. If that were to happen, we're talking about injunctions, all sorts of legal processes that ultimately could delay the suspension. So there's a bunch of complicated things out there. Continuing the quote from Darlington, I'm not saying he wins or loses the case, but there's a bunch of scenarios right now that puts the Cleveland Browns, when they're assessing what's going to happen with their quarterback, into play in many different scenarios. Now, If Watson does file a lawsuit, he won't be the first person to do so against the NFL. It happened in 2015 when then New England's Patriot quarterback Tom Brady filed a lawsuit against the league over the 4-game suspension that he received after the Deflategate scandal. So ultimately, in the end, that suspension was upheld. Now, I put a poll about this up on Twitter, and I asked people, should the NFL leave the suspension be as it is, or should the NFL appeal that suspension? Most of the people who voted in that poll said that the NFL should leave it alone, should not appeal the suspension. I want to make a comment, though, about many of the comments that I got in response to that poll. The reasoning that I'm hearing from people. People are saying that the NFL agreed to this process and they should abide by it. Now, I do think it's important to note from a legal perspective, the NFL did agree to this process, and so did the NFL Players Association. But the NFL and the NFL Players Association also agreed to the appeal portion of the process. So, in my legal opinion, in order to let this play out with all of the finality that the situation deserves, if the NFL believes that it is warranted in going after that indefinite suspension, the NFL should appeal the scenario. And if it ends up in federal court, so be it, because there were many statements made by Sue Robinson in that ruling talking about precedent and how that applies here. And if we're going to have any kind of finality moving forward to understand how to deal with these situations, hopefully there are no more of these situations to deal with, but ultimately they are likely to be some in the future. We need to let the process play out in its finality. We will continue to follow this, and we'll bring you all the updates on all of our platforms on WKYC.com, our WKYC app, and all of our shows. Now, here in Ohio, we are learning that more than 1,000 K-12 schools throughout Ohio will receive state assistance to pay for security upgrades that Governor Mike DeWine's office say will enhance the safety of students and staff. So there will be 1,183 schools here in Ohio getting money. Those will be throughout Northeast Ohio and throughout the state, but lots in Northeast Ohio, including Akron, Canton, Cleveland, and many other districts. Grants will be awarded equal to the amount that the schools request, with a maximum of $50,000. The total amount, $47 million. So that's a lot of money. Now, if you want to see if the school district that pertains to your family is getting money, we have the entire document on WKYC.com. And today being Tuesday, August 2nd, it is the special primary election here in Ohio, and we have your guide for everything you need to know to get yourself to the polls and make sure that your voice is heard. That's on WKYC.com and our WKYC app. Reminder that polls are open until 7:30 p.m. As long as you are in line by 7:30 p.m., you are permitted to vote. And there are lots of races to pay attention to. You know, Secretary of State Frank LaRose spent $250,000 to remind people that we are having this election today. And that's because many races were put on hold because of the issues we're having with redistricting maps here in Ohio, and how the Redistricting Commission is not able to put together a map that the Ohio Supreme Court deems complies with the requirements here in Ohio. So if you want to check out some of the races that are deemed to be more competitive, head to WKYC.com for a breakdown there. And a celebration happened yesterday in the Clark Fulton neighborhood. There was a ribbon cutting ceremony for new affordable housing. This is the Via Sana Affordable Housing Project. So there will be 72 mixed-use apartments brought to the neighborhood. This is a project jointly between the Metro Health System and the NRP Group. So that ribbon-cutting ceremony on Monday was attended by Mayor Justin Bibb of Cleveland, U.S. Senator Sherrod Brown, and other people celebrating this new project. It is still accepting applications for people interested. We have the link on WKYC.com if you are interested in potentially applying to live in the project. First move-ins are expected to take place in September of this year. And an upcoming event to let you know about at the Akron Zoo. They are having a Wild for Wine tasting event. This will be an after-hours event on Saturday, August 13th, so about a week and a half away, and that's from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. The tickets include admission to the zoo and 9 tastings from local wineries that'll be stationed around the grounds. Now, this isn't the first time they're doing kind of an after-hours cocktail sampling scenario at the Akron Zoo. We talked about just a couple of days ago the Tequila and Tigers event that they're having. So it seems like the Akron Zoo really kind of making a play to bring in an older group in these after-hours events. So if you like the zoo, you can head on out there on August 13th. That's from 6 to 9 p.m. If you're a zoo member, your ticket is $30. That gets you into the zoo plus the tastings, and $35 if you are a non-member. Designated drivers is $19 for members and $24 for non-members. We've got those details on WKYC.com, including the wineries that will be there. And one more thing to let you know before we go here. if you're like me, you were very excited that the Mexican pizza was coming back to Taco Bell. And then, when they brought it back, it went away again. They said it was sold out and they needed to restock. Well, we now know from Taco Bell, as of today, it will be back on sale on September 15th, so about a month and a half from now. So what they said was they underestimated how much people loved the Mexican pizza. I mean, there were hundreds of thousands of people who signed a change.org petition to bring it back after they let it go the first time in 2020. But anyway, they were not anticipating how popular the return would be. They said it was 7 times more popular than they expected. Now that they have restocked, it will be back on September 15th, and it will be here to stay. I was wondering if it was some kind of a dirty trick that they had brought the Mexican pizza back and then they took it away again. All right, that's what you need to know today from our top stories from WKYC.com and our WKYC app. Everyone have a wonderful day, and I'll see you back here tomorrow with more 3 News Now.
Thanks for listening to 3 News Now with Stephanie Haney from WKYC Studios. Subscribe now so you never miss an update, and find more on everything you heard here on WKYC.com and in the WKYC app.